afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being present here at this session. Before we dive into today's topic, which is opportunity in video games, I would like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Saahil Sharma. I've closely worked in the video game industry since 2011. Little did I know that my love for design would change into the art side of video games. I worked on many AAA titles in the past 10 years. I represent Sumo video games, and lockdown got me into creating NFTs and getting into the metaverse. As we get into the rabbit hole, let's start with the demographics in the current state of the video game industry. So how popular is video game in India? It would be safe to say that most of us here play video games. Let's take a look at the current state of the industry right now. The number of gamers have significantly increased from 365 million to 510 million in 2023. We all agree that COVID played a big role for entertainment and escapism from boredom, as we all had our friends and we all played PUBG or other games during lockdown. India is now the 5th largest gaming market with some of the cheapest internet, data, and smartphone affordability. This makes games accessible to the masses. We know that everyone started playing PUBG, and we all are still playing video games. Research predicts that gaming industry will create over 40,000 jobs in 2023 alone, which is almost 2x from 2017. This means more companies, more setup expansions, and more job roles. Moving on, I also believe that these three factors played a big role in the recent growth: global expansion, government involvement, and the potential of esports. Let's start with global expansion. India has seen more indie companies recently. Scaling of studios and more investment in the gaming sector is driving the force strong. Government involvement such as the AVGC sector, which is the animation, video gaming, and comic sector, and competitions like World Skills have created opportunity for the young guns. It is also the biggest global event to happen on a world stage event. Esports streamers and content creators have also created a huge impact and awareness both pre and post-COVID. I would like to share a little info on the growth of video game development before we get into what is video game development. Popularity of video game dev has massively increased in the last 10 years. We have seen so many companies that have actually started in the last decade. Game dev-oriented courses, colleges, and institutes are more accessible in India. With industry-standard curriculum and practicality, and more people want to work in the back end of video games. We all agree that internet has made everything so accessible. Everything is available on one click. You have means of access to tutorials, games, and information. This means we all have more opportunity to learn and grow. I'm here actually talking to students. So we move on to what is video game development and what are the type of video game development platforms. In the simplest of terms, video game development is the process of making video games. Well, I can start that video game production is taking an idea or a concept, program, engineer, render, record, mix, and you have a game. But it's not that simple. I'd like to break it down to 3 processes of the video game development. So first is pre-production. This is where the planning happens. This is where your, sorry. First is pre-production. Pre-production is the planning stage. This is where your amazing idea of a game turns into reality with a detailed plan of action. For designers, that would mean GDDs, etc. Then we have production. This production stage is the concept created during pre-production and turned into source code or game assets. This is where the bulk of your time, effort, and resources go. Then we have post-production. This is the main purpose of post-production is game maintenance, bug fixes, DLCs, new content, etc. The gaming industry has dozens of job disciplines. Here we will discuss the different stages of video game jobs available. As students, we all want to get into a field. And we hear a lot about, oh, I want to do animation, but we don't know what is animation. Like, I have been guided wrong when I was young. So when you get into the industry, these are the jobs that are available in the video game industry. These are designers, programmers, artists, producers, managers, audio engineers, game testers, you have marketing, etc. But I would like to talk about designers first. The main role of designers is developing unique ideas for a game vision. They experiment with various gaming themes and genres. They develop storylines, characters, and plots. They also work on level design, UI, UX, system design, etc. We move on to the programming part. These individuals are highly trained in languages of computer programming like C++, C#, Python, Java, and we have blueprinting as well. Programmers specialize in areas such as gameplay implementation, graphics, AI, sound, user interface, tools, porting, networking, optimization, etc. I want to basically show this in a layman's term that everyone understands what they're getting into and what are the job opportunities. We have artists. Every video game artist wants to bring out the designer's ideas into reality. The process also involves concept artists, environment artists, lighting artists, technical artists, animators, etc. We move on to producers. These are the people generally behind you when you're slacking. Their main agenda and role is to supervise and oversee the entire development of the process, ensuring each department is finishing work on time. The project manager plays a major role for executing, planning, controlling, and monitoring the development of the game. We move on to audio engineers. Their work is to bring out sound the way it's supposed to in a video game and make the game immersive. We have game testers. Their job is to test games and find abnormalities and defects. If any, they report them to the team and they fix bugs. This actually means every one of you all have more competition, and you all want to grab that golden ticket to get a job or an internship in the gaming industry. Well, the question arises that how would you apply? Do you have a portfolio ready? Let's jump into what should I have in my portfolio. This is for everyone, be it a game designer, a programmer, sound engineer, or an artist. Game portfolios are often in the form of video, photos, or a showreel. I would like to point out some pointers that I would love each and every one of you to mention and do in your portfolios. The first being only include your best work. An employer is likely to have already seen so many portfolios at the day they see yours. So it's best to keep your front foot forward. It's always best to have a short and small portfolio. That means don't flood your portfolio with all the work that you have, because that might not reflect what the company is looking for. The third point is match the work on your portfolio to the role. If the role is of an environment artist or a character artist, put that work up front. If you're showing group work, always mention your contribution. This can be as simple as a text. The person looking at your portfolio may be looking at it without you. So use text and explain tools or softwares you've used. Ensure your portfolio works on a variety of screen sizes, devices, and browsers. If you made it on a desktop, check it if it still good looks on mobile. If you use Safari, don't forget to use Chrome. And the biggest thing, don't be tempted to put your work which is not yours. Plagiarism is not right. Employers know what your work is. They know, they see portfolios every day. Make sure you do not put someone else's work. Always keep your portfolio up to date. Refresh your work every week, every month, however you want to. This makes your skill set increase as well. Always add in your CV in the portfolio or attach it with your cover letter. Make sure all your web links work and always include your contact details. I would move on to the platforms used to showcase work. As a guy getting into the industry, making a portfolio, I would suggest you, if you're an artist, use ArtStation. If you're a programmer, use GitHub. And Wix, the all-time favorite. Free to use. You can add videos, links, images. Everything is possible with Wix as well. I wanted the liberty to showcase some portfolios from guys in the industry who just started. Unfortunately, I don't have internet. But I would talk about the growth and the networking strategies that are important as well. The biggest being is social media. Everyone's on Instagram, Facebook, but we all lack using Discord, Twitter, and Reddit. Discord has many channels you could join, get feedbacks for your work, etc. I would also really push people to attend events. It plays a major role in networking. Events like IGDC, game jams, Unreal events, game dev meetups, these are things that you all really need to put your front foot forward, meet people, and network. Now, in the world of internet, we have learning resources. In your free time, please go on Udemy, learn new skills. If you're a modeler, learn new techniques of hard surfacing, etc., just to grow your skills. You have YouTube tutorials and sites such as FlipNormals, ArtStation as well, just to see what people are working on to get inspired and to start working on your portfolio better. I personally feel global game jams are also very important for the young guns. You only get to understand the industry work once you're working in a company. But game jams happen every year. If you ask any developer about their experience at a game jam, their face will either light up or be sad with exhaustion. But it's a one-punch, two-punch delight that makes us work on game jams. I would like to share why game jams. Here are a few examples I've jotted down. The first being is they include constraints. Sometimes it's easier to be creative when you're working with constraints. Game jams provide a time limit and a theme. You're not working in production that you have a year or two, but game jams actually push you. You have 4 days, 24 hours, 48 hours, depends on the game jam, and you're working for it. The second being is they require teamwork. Team game jams are a great way to use your skills and make game with others. You don't need to actually be a coder. For example, you can be an artist, a musician, or just about anything you're working with a team with programmers, right? Moving on, they require planning and prioritization. Time limit keeps your game scope in check and also makes you focus on making something simple in a short amount of time. It is also a great way to learn time management. I think we all need that, right? Moving on, they provide feedback. In game jams, you don't have time to make everything right. So just create. And the last point being, they offer friendly competition. Competition can always spur motivation, but the main reward is your game. Moving on, I would quickly like to end this small presentation by saying keep creating. Just keep creating and work on more collaborative projects. Rejections are a part of life. This should not bother you from working on your skills. Keep applying for job opportunities, but also work on your portfolio as that is the key. And keep in mind, quality over quantity and less is more. I hope all of y'all make a great portfolio. I'm always available on Instagram, Discord. If you want to talk about how should I make my portfolio, what should I do as a designer, as an artist, as a programmer, I can always help you out. I'm always available, and I'm open to Q&A. Thank you. Any questions? I see some familiar faces here. Hi, Ankur. Any questions? How many guys here are still in college or institute? How many designers or pursuing to be game designers? How many artists? Most. Shoot me a question. Where do you see yourself working in the next 2 years?
Hi. I want to ask, what are some good generalist roles in the game development industry?
Sorry?
Some good generalist roles.
Generalist
Generalist
roles.
roles, yes.
Uh, as an artist, right?
No, no, generally like business, on the business side of things.
See, right now, to be honest, I'm not in the business development part, right?
Right.
I'm a video game artist.
Okay.
I'm here talking about how students can get in the industry, but as a business point of perspective, you can always come to my booth and we have a financial expert as well.
Okay.
So he can actually explain you how things behind the creating part work.
Okay.
I hope that
Yeah, yeah,
answers
sure.
your question.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hello, sir. I just had a question. Because the art technology has been advancing very quickly and concept art has also taken a drastic turn, would you say that for whatever concepts we design now, we have to make a lot more call-outs?
Well,
Like,
that has always been the case, but right now with AI, things have actually changed quite a bit.
yeah,
And I personally believe that is a little life-threatening for concept artists.
it is, definitely.
But then again, I would still believe in the concept artist more than AI.
Of course. I mean, humans are still humans, and AI is
That's
AI.
how I take it as. I would rather sit with a game concept artist, give him the vision, and let him create than a computer do that job for me. If I'm making a video game, it's my vision,
Yeah,
right? I want it to be somehow I want it. And the concept artist is the best guy to provide that concept for me.
yeah.
Whereas AI would give me different opinions, and I'd like to choose from the best options it gives me, right?
Yeah, so have you seen any recent portfolios, like the amount of detail that every artist goes into, how much has it changed?
See, well, it all depends on your art style and how much you want to put into your work. I've seen some people make silhouettes in concept art, right? Some people actually detail till the final moment, and there's art is never perfect. You cannot keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. There's a limit where you know it looks good, right?
Yeah,
So I think when you're doing concept art, it's a concept. You don't, if you're a concept artist, you're showcasing a concept. You don't have to get into detailing as much. It's just to provide an idea and how the look and feel will be. So it's up to you how you want to detail it. If you want to go further, go do it.
okay,
There's no constraint on it.
yeah, one last question. As a student who's looking to apply for jobs, because the portfolio has to be relevant to the job, right? So we have
Yes.
to look at the company, look at their games, their art styles, and make a portfolio based on that. So would we have to apply to companies that have similar art styles, or can we apply to others as well?
I personally believe, like giving you an example of Blizzard, for example, if I'm a concept artist or a 3D modeler, they are looking for a skill set, how they make their games, how their art style is. So if I'm making realistic games and I'm making realism, it is not approachable to them. They will not look at it the way they would look at a guy who's doing stylized artwork. So it's always important to do that. But as a concept artist, you can have different type of work, right? Because every game would need different art styles, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
you need to be aware what work you want to put forward to that company. You
Okay.
can't put everything that you have, you know. So put out that work that you want to send forward to them, which represents them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Any 3D artists? No questions? Go ahead. Excuse me. This is your chance, guys. You're getting into the industry now. You have questions. You want to know how to make your portfolio, what to do. Speak up.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm a 3D artist, so a student right now, third year. So I wanted to know about like the divide in 3D modeling softwares. Like I started back in, when the pandemic started, and naturally you search for 3D modeling tutorials, Blender is the first thing that comes up. But now, I'm looking at job, all the requirements and everything, and in the market, mainly it's 3ds Max and Maya. And I know Maya a bit, but then I mainly prefer Blender. I just love it more. So how do you feel about the divide, modeling softwares?
See, softwares are also company oriented, right? Blender is a way forward. Work on your skills on Blender, but don't keep it as your key source of skills. Always get into 3ds Max and Maya a little bit here and there. It's like left-hand drive or a right-hand drive, Maya and Max. So always learn Maya because it'll take time for Blender to get in, right? So I would suggest to work on Maya. At least do your base modeling there, then get on ZBrush for sculpting. I know Blender does everything, but it's not really out there yet, right, in companies. It's mostly for individuals doing their own personal work. I don't see it in the video game industry, in India at least right now. No one in the companies are using Blender full time. There are some companies that give liberty to artists to use their own software, but also if the company has licenses to that software. But most of the companies have license to Maya or Max. So it's always best to put your foot a little bit in and slowly keep learning.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
So, keeping the software aside, if somebody wants to be involved with game development and game production, if they don't want to get into the softwares of it, what are some other areas that they can be creatively involved in?
Sorry?
What are some other areas that they can be creatively be involved in? Not project management, but something else.
There are so many other roles as well. There are writers, there are script writers, you know. So there are a lot of roles in the game industry, not only doing art, programming, or design. There's marketing as well, right? If you want to actually be out there, if you're into events, you know how to market. You can get into that. You can get into writing. If you're a writer, you can actually write. You can do script writing, dialogue writing. But I would say that very less people in India are doing that right now because of the scalability of video games. Because India, generally, I don't see big AAA titles actually happening. I'll give you an example of Raji as well. It's one of the biggest games coming out of India from an indie studio making here. Like, my personal opinion, seeing them work. They had hired script writers, dialogue writers. So it's a whole process of different people coming together, even as musicians, you know. They went to Rajasthan, they jammed together, they took on different artists just to play, learn sound, and, you know, just record different things. So that's about it.
Thank you.
How can we get into NFTs?
Well, you can just get into it today. If you have artwork, there's so many sites like OpenSea, Foundation. If you have something created, go put it on these platforms. Wait for it to sell.
I'm a 3D artist, as you know. So
Yes.
what should I put in NFT for 3D?
I see a lot of 3D artists right now doing minimalistic artwork, you know, with shapes. That is something which is trending. You know, work around with shapes. And if you're a character artist or an environment artist, work on a, I would say, like a IP. Like, if you make a character, work on that, do episodic structures of him. I think you've seen Kedar as well.
Yeah.
So work on something like that, because that is something that sells, right? If you make an entity, people want to be associated with that, right? They're looking forward to what is next.
And what for prop and environment?
See, no one, I would not suggest you to sell props. You
Yeah.
can always sell environments. I'll give you an example of globe worlds, you know. A person created an NFT with just globes.
Okay.
It's a globe, but inside it's like a little city, right? So try experiment, and the best thing is go on Foundation, write hashtags, hashtag 3D. You can see so much work and get ideas of what you can do. But I would not suggest to put props.
Yeah.
No one wants to spend their money buying a prop, right? Which is not useful.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Anyone sculpting? Any sculptors here? Good to know. Only one? So you are an organic sculptor or character sculptor? What do you like to sculpt?
I've been making landscapes using the sculpt tool in Blender.
Oh, nice.
And as far as character animation goes, I don't sculpt for characters because when it's time to rig,
So
it's very difficult.
I'll tell you how you have to do it. Firstly, if you sculpt a character, you always have to retopo it.
Yes.
Once
I
you
know.
retopo it,
That's a pain. Big pain.
but now there are softwares such as Wrap 3D. It's as simple as clicking tools. If your eye socket is here, you click points, and the model wraps into a proper mesh. which you can actually use to do it. Research about it is called Wrap 3D.
Wrap 3D.
Would be very useful for you.
That's really nice to know.
No problem.
It should save like some hundreds of hours, to be very
Exactly.
honest. Thanks.
Any other questions, guys? I have some time here. Any questions that, excuse me?
So, how do you expect an portfolio of a 3D environment artist to be like?
It's very simple. You create assets. As an environment artist, you'll first create assets, right? Now, Unreal Unity is open to use. I would suggest make a scene. Put your assets together. I'll give you an example. If you have containers, props, put it all together, learn a little lighting. Make a scene, learn cinematics in Unreal. It will take you a day to learn it. It's as simple. Showcase your work best. I would like to show you something that I've done, and I couldn't use this properly. I would just like to share a character I did and how I got an animator. So I was talking about cooperative work. I got hold of an animator. I told him to work with me collaboratively, and this is the final result. Can you go to the 8th slide, please? This is just a little example I'd put on. So this character is called Kedar the Sage. This is the entity I created, started making NFTs for him, and a little universe of himself. So this is the introduction video that I made. Could you play the video? So just being a character itself, I didn't want to put a picture or screenshots. I actually animated him, made a cinematics. This is just a showcase of how I did it. So it's up to you how to present your work, end of the day.
True.
And there's so many tutorials, and I'm still saying I'm here to connect. Any issues, let me know. I can guide you all. Because coming up, I didn't have many people guiding me. You all have internet. You all have so many platforms. You're here to connect. Always meet people. They'll always help you out.
Could you also say some ways to like show breakdown of your art?
Sorry?
Like I see people giving a proper breakdown of their art.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, like could you show some like?
I have links, but unfortunately they don't
Okay,
work.
okay.
I'll give you an example. I have this on ArtStation as well.
Okay.
I've done a breakup of the sculpting, the modeling, the wireframe, the materials, and how I've done animation and blueprints in Unreal itself.
Okay.
So I can send you the link.
Sure. So as an environment artist, like should we have to show the methods of modularity? Like how do they?
It's always important. See, end of the day, you're an environment artist, but you will still make props.
Okay.
It's always important to showcase how you made the prop, what softwares you used, show the high poly model, baked model, maps, and the entire scene. Show how the detail lighting works in Unreal. You know, make materials. As an environment artist, your role is just not creating art. It's creating materials. It's creating decals. So it never stops, right?
Yes.
I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? No questions? That was my time. Thank you, guys.